So how does a home birth differ from a hospital birth? It's not an easy one for me to answer because I've never had a hospital birth. But I think the main difference is going to be just the ability of interventions. A home birth is very, very small and very private. And it allows a great amount of freedom and your own wants and your own wishes to be attended to in many respects. And again, as long as you're healthy enough and low risk, you're really able to move so freely. You can go for a walk, you can be anywhere you want to be in your house. You can come and go, and you can eat what you want. You have so much more freedom, I think. And to me, I think that that's the main difference, and that was really what I wanted, is I wanted that freedom, and I didn't want the temptation of drugs. I didn't want an epidural. I really wanted to trust in my body, and I really wanted to do it on my own. So is it riskier? Why or why not? I don't think that it's riskier if you are capable of having a home birth, if that's the place that you want to be, and if you have licensed professionals around you to help you. A true home birth midwife will be the first one to tell you to go to the hospital if there's any danger, if there's any risk. They are truly there for mom and baby and to make sure that everybody arrives healthy. So I don't think it's riskier if you qualify to have one. If you're a high-risk birth, you obviously need to be at a hospital. There is a great reason for hospitals, and I'm very thankful that they're there for those who need them. However, not everybody needs them, and pregnancy and birth is not a sickness. And that was what I continued to tell people 10 years ago when they would ask me why I'm not going to a hospital. I said, I'm not sick. I'm perfectly healthy. Who helped with the birthing process? Well, it varied per birth. The midwives are there to check you, if you want them to. I didn't want to know how many centimeters I was along. Eventually you get the urge to push, and I was going to wait for that, and I didn't need to know any other information until then. But they'll check the baby's heartbeat and set up the birthing pool and really just be there and be ready. And so for me, I had, with my first birth, I had 2 midwives present, and then my doula, who was also my Bradley method teacher, and then my boyfriend at the time. We were all there together, and that was it. For my son, there were far less people, but that's a very different story. And what is a doula? A doula is a birth support person. It's somebody who is there for the mom and the dad, somebody who's there to make sure that all of their needs are met. That, if mom's having a lot of back pain in labor, they can take turns with the dad to rub the back, to apply counter pressure, to help you get in a good position, to help give you ideas of another way you might want to try and push. They're very well educated and go through, many doulas are very well educated and go through classes and training. And as you attend births, you learn more and more and more, because everyone is just so very different. And they're also there to make sure that mom and dad are fortified, that you have food if you need food. A lot of times births can last hours and hours, and mom might be preoccupied having a baby, but dad kind of has to eat so he doesn't pass out in the middle of everything. I remember our doula with our daughter coming over to give my husband water, and then to give me water, to make sure that we were getting something, that we were staying hydrated, and something that we would have never thought to ask at the time. We were so preoccupied, but I couldn't believe how thirsty I was when I saw that straw come over. And my doula held my hand through a lot. She was a calming voice, a calming presence. She was just there to support us. And how is that different from a midwife? Well, a midwife is a licensed professional there to make sure that you and your baby are healthy. They're there for your care, and they're very much like a doctor, but they specialize in home birth. And there's midwives at hospitals, of course, but I had a home birth midwife. Should women have both? Yeah, if you can, that's amazing. The more support you have, usually the better, but it needs to be what you want at your birth, I think is most important. So those are the questions. The other things that I wanted to say, and I do recommend that people take a look at gentlehomebirth.org because there's a lot of information there, and Open Arms Midwifery, I don't know if it's .org or .com, but there's a lot that they offer you, home birth midwives, in the way of care, where not only are your appointments an hour long, but they also do one home visit where they come, see your house, talk to you about how you want it and what your hopes are for your birth. And then they come back. They're obviously there for the birth. They stay well after the birth and clean everything up, and they do the APGARs and the weights and length and everything, all just right there in front of you. But they also come back and do a 24-hour home visit, so they come back and check on you the next day and make sure that everybody's fine, and then they do a 3-day visit, and then a 2-week visit, and then a 6-week visit. And they just come to you. I was able, even with my second child, they came and did the PKU test right there, and he didn't cry for a second, and I could nurse him right through it when they pricked his little heel. Whereas I had to take my daughter to the doctor, and they made her scream and scream, and they wouldn't let me nurse her, and it was such a difficult experience. And the midwife didn't want my son to cry, and she was very gentle and very patient, and just like with everything else, she had all the time in the world for us, and that made such a difference. So I guess that's most of what I have to share about home birth. I hope that helps you guys understand a little bit more about it, and there is so much more information out there and so much that you can learn, and home birth has really come a long way in the last 10 years that I've been aware of it, and I'm so glad that you guys are learning about it in college. I think it's